maybe 10, 12 years, I got a call from Chicago that they wanted me to come down there, and I says, I told the girls and mommy, I says, we're going to Chicago, and they said, no, we're not, we're staying here. So 30 years later, I moved away. But it was fun. I would like to do it now over again because you can get everything. When I took the job, Blink gave me a purchase order book, and he says, you go through and buy everything you need to open this camp. And I went to all the big wholesale houses, and I needed 40 axes. I went to one place, yeah, we got one. Went to another place, well, we got two. I need 40. And this went on. And then I'd haul all this stuff up to my place. I lived in Minneapolis. I had a big duplex, a big garage. I'd store it in there till I got a full load, and then I'd come up, and the first load I took up, I said to Linda, how do I get to Maine Point? Well, you go to Park Rapids, and you go west to Park Rapids a mile, and you turn, I think it's on 225. And you get to Ponsford, and from Ponsford, what do I do? It says you follow the telephone line. Well, what if you run out of telephone? Which you did. That's what happened. I ran out of telephone line, now where do I go? And I went up a little farther, and it's a road that turned in, so I turned in. And I had this big truck, I think I had 5 tons of stuff on it. Here comes an Indian down the road with a team of horses, no wagons. Now where do I go? So he finally took off into the woods, and I went by him and went on up. And I got up a little farther, and there was a sawmill in there. So I stopped, and I said, how far is it to the Johnson truck trail? He said, 60 rods. That's the longest 60 rods I ever drove in my life. And I got up to where the wire went this way, and then I went past the gate lodge, and I started down that road. And if you all remember, that was an old railroad grade that is used just in the wintertime. It wasn't built for summer. I get you in there, and here the road is all covered with water. Well, Lynn said you're supposed to take it, so I go.
I always knew you could walk on water.
I made it down to the beach down here, and I unloaded part of the load, and then I had to take the rest of it around the lake over to the point. And I turned around, I started up this hill. The truck wouldn't go, the wheel just spun because it was all, it had rained and the road was greasy, and here I was all alone, no help, no telephone, no nothing. And I had a big rope in the truck, 1-inch rope, I don't know what it was for. I cut it in 2 pieces and made chains out of it, wrapped it around my duals. While I was doing that, an Indian came. I don't know where he came from, but he just showed up, and he started to put branches in these trails. I finally got over the hill. Then I had to go all the way down to Ponsford, and then how do I get from there now to Seabird Place? So I stopped at a filling station there in Ponsford and filled up with gas. I said, where's Seabird Rasmussen's Resort? I don't know. The guy was born right there in town. I said, well, how do I get to Whaley's Resort then? That's close by. Well, you go this way and you go that way, and okay, I took off. I gets down there, and I saw this big lodge, this ice cracking lodge. And I stopped there for a bottle of pop. It was pop, too. And,
He said he was carrying a heavy load.
I asked the guy, how do I get to Rasmussen's Resort? Well, he says, you right down here, you cross the Otter Tail River, and the first road to your right, you take it. Then you stay on that road, and it'll take you all the way around to Whaley's and Rasmussen. So I got over to Rasmussen's, and he wasn't home. He was out on the lake fooling around, and pretty soon he came, and I told him what I wanted and what I had to do, and he said, well, it's too late to go now, you better stay overnight. So I stayed overnight there. And the next morning, he drove his car ahead, and I followed him. And he gets down to Aiken Resort. He says, I'll leave my car here, and I will drive the truck up there. Okay. And you wouldn't believe it, but it was just 2 tracks going up through the woods. If you met anybody, you'd have to back up as far as you come. And I gets up to the Otter Tail River, I stopped, and the darn planks or logs were leaning. Siebert, we aren't going across there. Well, they've been hauling logs across there. Gee, if I dropped in. So I took off, put her in super low and low range, and I got across it. But
Clutching your purchase order book.
yeah, we made it, and I got up to the point and unloaded and took off back home.
When did you return with the Scouts?
July of '46 on I think it was the 7th. They came in by bus to ice cracking logs, and I met them down there, and I brought them up by truck to the campsite. And before they got out of the truck, I gave them each a GI bar of soap, and I said, from now on, you're going to wash every night. There's your bathtub, pointed to the lake. And they took a bath every day. And we only had one case of poison ivy, and he brought it with him from Minneapolis. The doctors told him that you take these pills and you'll be all right. So he took pills, and one night about 12 o'clock, they come and rapped on my door, "You better come over here." That kid had poison ivy from here down to his toenails. And I took him, I had a Jeep. We put some mattress in the back and hauled him into DL and down to the hospital. And the nurse said, "You can't get any doctors now." I said, "Lady, lead me to a telephone." So she gave me a telephone, I got on a call. In 10 minutes I had a doctor there. This kid was in there for 9 days. And we only had one accident. We used to preach to the kids every night. Wint would come down and talk to them, and I would, about keeping their equipment sharp. And this one kid was down by the sea lodge. They were clearing out for something down there, I guess for the sea lodge or something. And he cut his foot. And I was down here with another crew. And Wint came by and he said, "I told you last night to keep your axes sharp and see what happens with a dull axe." And his kid said, "That was Boots' axe."
Well, Boots, did you arrange for Siebert to come and... Well, Boots, did you arrange for Siebert to come and work on the camp? On the
No, he
buildings?
went and talked to Siebert before.
Siebert Rasmussen was the first employee of Many Point Scout Camp.
That's,
I was doing business with a realtor by the name of Baker in Detroit Lakes. And when I bought Christie's Resort for the council, I was afraid that some of the natives who needed lumber would carry off the resort in the wintertime. And so Siebert and I have a little joke about this. I said to Baker, "I need somebody who will go down and look at the resort and make some tracks around it so that people won't carry it away while it's not occupied." And he said, "I think I know just the man you're looking for." And so he drove me out here, and in an afternoon in early November, I knocked on Siebert's door and got to know Siebert Rasmussen, and that's when I first employed Siebert. And the little joke that we have about this is that I said to Siebert, "How much money do you want to go down the lake twice a week and make some tracks down there?" Because there had been a place down there called Robber's Roost, and one winter, why some of the natives moved in and they carried it off board by board. And so I said to Siebert, "How much money do you want to go down there on snowshoes or skis twice a week and make some tracks around there and let people know that somebody's watching the place. And Siebert says, well, how about $10 a month? And I said, $10 a month? And he thought I thought it was too much. And I said, no, I don't think it's too much. I'll pay you $10 a week to do that. And so that's how Siebert started to work for the Boy Scouts here at Many Point. And after I got to know Siebert better, of course, I discovered that Siebert was good for something that was a lot more important than skiing down the lake, and that is that he was a master craftsman with wood. So much of the woodwork in this camp, Siebert, is your work, and the fine things that are still here this day after 40 years were made by Siebert Rasmussen. And Siebert and I have had a long time experience as the real original employees of Many Point Scout Camp.
Siebert, we were discussing earlier today the fact that you helped build or contracted to build the conservation lodge along with the addition on the dining hall. Did you run into any unusual problems with those, or when you built those?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I worked so much on putting all the cabins up and down the lake, and I don't remember what.
Where did the wood come from? The timbers?
I came from the woods there. Logs were cut out in the woods there on the Boy Scout land.
Were there still large stands of white pine?
No, there wasn't much white pine, a lot of Norway pine.
And that's what you used for most of the beams?
Yeah, that's right.
Could you tell us a little about the man who put the split rock fireplace in the conservation lodge?
I don't know much about it. He was a good mason, stone mason, that's all I could.
That was Bob Blanchard from Osage. He's now gone. He was a craftsman too, and when he was building it, he brought his son out here, who was one of these guys, you don't tell me, I'll do it my way. And this big rock, I'll show it to you if you go down there. His dad says, you hit it right here. And this kid was one of these guys, you can't tell me on it. So he stood there and he pounded, and all he got was chips. And the old man got mad and he says, I told you to hit the thing here, hit the damn thing right here. And he hit it there and that thing opened up just like a hook. And it's the two big rocks on the, up there, you can see them. And I tried it, all I got was chips too. But you gotta know just where to hit them and they'll open up just as beautiful. He built that one and he also built the one out at the gate lodge. And Randolph built this one.
In the dining hall.
And he also built the one over at the family camp. But if you look close to the one at the family camp, that cement in the front there, there's deer tracks there. And when we were building, the doors were open and deer ran through and put those tracks in there. And if you look close, you'll see them.
With the truth.
Brent, I think we ought to come back to Siebert for a minute, because he's a little bit too modest. I'll tell you a couple of things about Siebert's work with mentioned craftsmanship. I came here early on when he was putting up some of the big pole beams and also down in the sea lodge. And there weren't any of these big 15-foot front-end loader, big hydraulic powered things to lift logs into place. And he was just starting. He had a pile of logs as high as the ceiling. And I said, Siebert, how do you get those big beams up there and the big floor joists and the rafters and stuff? And he says, you damn fool. He says, you use a yin pole. I says, well, what's a yin pole? Well, he says, you dummy, you just stick around and you see. So he goes out and he cuts a couple of great big popple trees. And he puts one up like this and puts another one up like that. And he runs a block and tackle from it. And all of these beams were put in place. with that old-fashioned logger's gin pole. And I'll tell you this, that when every one of these beams came into place, you'll notice the way that they're cut. When they came in, it fit like that. I never saw him lift another one up from that fit. Down here at the old administration building, if you go inside there, well, you'll notice that the logs are right there at the top of the windows. When Siebert built that place, why, there was a space about this tall above the windows, because log buildings shrink. And over the first 3 years, those logs came down, and I kid you not, when they got to the window, they stopped. Now that was either God or Siebert. The other thing last thing that impressed me was that when he and his helpers were down there, you know, they were laying course on course of logs, big heavy logs. And they had these skinning poles that went up, and you took a rope and you rolled the log up on top. I saw those guys with those logs on big horses here and with a draw scope. And they would go along, and they're looking up there where that log is going to go, and they're shaving and shaving and shaving. And then they would roll that log up, and it would go clunk into place, and you could step back, and you didn't see a crack of daylight between the log that was there and the one that they put down. And they're looking at that thing 30 feet away. That's the kind of craftsmanship that Siebert had.
We had a big water tank down here that we got from, I think, the Sioux Line Railroad. It all came to pieces. And we had to put in 8 or 10 big pilings in the ground. And the city engineer from Minneapolis, Fred Paul, came up and he said, now when you get to pour the cement and put those pins in, I'll bring my transit up so we get them all in line, get them all uniform. And Siebert and I went up there with the string and the square and the level and put them all in. We put these pins in the middle and cemented them shut. When Fred Paul came back with his transit, the water tank was full of water.
Siebert, one thing I think we have to ask is, did you teach Boots how to fish?
What?
Did you teach Boots how to fish?
And I taught him.
Oh, no, I think he showed me. The only trouble was, when he caught the big one, he threw it out again. I said, why? I had too much cleaning in the
Well, Siebert came over here one day and he says, let's go fishing tomorrow. I said, fine. So he came over the next day and it was around 6 o'clock, and I said, I can't go right now, but you take this boat and you go out, and then I'll come a little later on when I can get away from, because we had our own generators going, I had to take care of them dumb things. And so he went out, and then when I got time, I went out. And about 9 o'clock, I saw him going in. So I better go too. So he gets up on shore, and Siebert, did you catch any fish? Yeah, I got quite a few. I got one big one. He was 26 inches long. Gee, that's a nice big fish. He says, what did you get? Oh, I got a couple of perks and stuff. But just as I pulled my line in, I hooked onto something. I thought, boy, this is going to be his. There was no rusty lantern. I brought it along with me. And it was still burning. And he says, gee, what a light.
Still burning.
I said, Siebert, you take 20 inches off that fish, I'll blow out the lantern.
In 1947, you hired a man to come up and be the camping director for the summer, who had extensive experience at Tonkawa, who was well-versed in athletics, quite a swimmer himself. How did you find out about Maury, and what were the details there?
Well, I found out about Maury because as a scout I went to camp at Camp Tonkawa, and Maury was the aquatics director there. In fact, Maury taught me how to swim. That's how I know Maury. And I knew that Maury had a lot of experience in camp, and so he seemed like a good prospect to come here and be the director of the camp.
Maury, did it seem unusual or a big task to come to Many Point and direct a totally different camping experience than the type that was done at Tonkawa?
Yeah, it was quite a change, and I had to change my whole outlook on camping because Tonkawa was an entirely different type of camp. And when I came up here, I had never been here before. It was time to come to camp, and brought the family up. Nancy was about 10 years old then, I guess, something like that. And when we got up here, they were just finishing the road coming in to camp, and they had these big tractors and shovels and all that sort of stuff. And we got stuck. We couldn't move. Couldn't get through at all. And we had the whole family in there. We had 3 girls, didn't we?
Yep.
And so one of the guys, they hooked on the front of my car and pulled me through. And all these big rocks and stuff and mud, it was all mud. And they dragged us through there until we finally got